Not everybody's going to be happy to hear this, but I think COVID is ultimately going to be good for the sales profession. And I've got 4 reasons why. 1, it completely disrupted the status quo. And look, this is part of my psychosis, but when I get an objection that I'm not anticipating, or someone raises a concern in a sales call that I'm not planning to hear, my blood pressure gets up just a little bit. My face feels flushed. The hair on the back of my neck stands up a little bit. I feel alive. I feel like I get to respond. And that routine that every other salesperson seemed to get into was completely disrupted. That meant that people like you got to think on their feet. They got to readdress challenges. They got to kind of rediscover why they do what they do and how to do it. I think that's always a good thing. We need that reminder more than once every 100 years. Am I right? Now, secondly, we got to use new tools. We were not just encouraged, but forced to use new tools. That means new opportunities to be agile, to be nimble, to be flexible. We got to be creative. That's what great sellers do. It's a skill set. It's a trait. We were encouraged to use that creativity. At the same time, we were also reminded that the phone is often our best friend. And if what is old becomes new again, let's remember the telephone that we never seem to be more than outside of arm's reach away from. Now, third, there were a lot of clowns exposed for their lack of talent, their lack of flexibility, their lack of creativity. That means the ones who could respond and rise to the occasion and did are having huge successes and are really separating themselves from the rest. For a top performer like you, you couldn't ask for a better opportunity. Lastly, and this is something we've been talking more and more about as a sales profession. I think it's important, particularly over the last year and a half, but we've been reminded of what's really important to us. Our mental health, our relationships with people outside of work, our why, right? Why do you work this hard? Yeah, the money's great, the opportunity, you get the glamour trips and the awards, and we like having our egos pumped up, but here's the deal. We work to live. We don't live to work. And if you can have a lot of overlap between your work life and your personal life, then you're in a great situation. But real fulfillment comes not just from what you do inside the lines, so to speak. We were reminded of that in a very, very significant way over the past year and a half or so. And I really love what I'm seeing and hearing, the conversations that I'm participating in about why that's so valuable and so important. So as I go through those 4 things, right? A disruption of the status quo, new tools being used and old tools being used more effectively, clowns being totally exposed for the lunacy that they have called sales for too long, and you being reminded of what's important, tell me why any of that's bad. I encourage you to reach out to me. You know how to find me. Let's talk about this. But COVID in the long term, even in the short to medium term, is creating opportunities for top performers that have not been created in a long time. You should be salivating at the chance to continue doing what you do so well.